Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In this lecture, I'm going to share to you data structure. My name is Dr. Haji Tehuko. These are the topics that I'll be covering. We're going to look into stacks, queues, and linked lists. Under queues, we're going to have circular queue and double-ended queue, while in linked lists, we're going to look into singly and doubly linked lists. So let's start with stacks. So what are stacks? Stack is a linear data structure which follows a particular order in which the operations are performed. The order may be last in, first out. Here are the different stacks operations. We have here the term push. So when we say push, it's more on inserting the data. Now, if we insert the data and it reaches the length of the array, then the array will become full, so there will be an overflow. While when we say pop, it means removing or deleting the item into our array. Okay, now if we remove, let's say, an item and there are no elements anymore in the stack, we call that as an empty stack. And we also have here top, in which case place where insertions and deletions takes place. Collections of data items can be accessed into this location, so we could determine what is the topmost value in our stack. To illustrate, we have here the an image to illustrate what is a stack. So let's say we have here an array, and then by default we have here top is equals to -1, meaning that there's no value into our stack. Then if we want to insert an item, we call here push. So we use here push 10. It means that we are inserting the value of 10. Once we push a value, then we increment the value of our, let's say, top by 1. So from -1 to 0. Then we push in 30. We push in 15. We push in 40. And we push also 5. Since we have here 5 elements, the stack now is full. Okay? Now, another operation that we could use here is pop, wherein when we say pop, it removes an item. So, pop, we remove the topmost value, pop again, pop again, pop again, until we reach here an empty stack. Okay? So, this is an illustration of stack. Let's try to implement it. So there are several ways on how we implement stack here. The first one is that there is a default library in C++ that allows us to use stack. And then later, I'm going to create also a program that creates our own user-defined value. Okay? So let me exit the PowerPoint. And then let me open my editor. Okay. In this particular example, I'm using CodeRunner. Okay? But you could use other editors or C++ editors that you like. So for our first example, I'm going to create here a stack that implements the use, stack use of, let's say, the stack library. So what we need to do is to include here the library which is called stack. Next is, so let's write our code. Return 0. Okay. Now let's say let's have the following variables I and then x. Okay. And then stack. This one here, stack. And then let's pass a value of an integer type, and let's pass it to the variable nums. Let's now display the size of our array. To display the size, we have here a function called size. Okay, size function. Okay. Now let's display the value here. Stack size. Stack size is, and then let's add here our variable nums, which is already initialized with our stacks, that size. Okay, And then let's have our end line. Okay, so this shows the size of our stack. So since we have not yet entered anything here, it should result to 0. Now let's try to add values now to our stack. To do that, we will use here a function called push. Okay, this is our operation. To use push, all we need to do is to use here a variable nums that push, and then here it's an we declared it as an integer, so we're going to pass in our value. So let's say we're going to input the value of 11, nums push 12, nums push 13. Okay, so we have inserted here 3 values, 11, 12, 13. Then let's get the size of our array here. So let's copy this line. I'm going to copy this line, paste it here. So we start with the value of 0. By this time, we're looking at the value of 3 already. Okay, so let's have a line break here. Okay, next. Once we have that, let's get the topmost value. So cout. And then we're going to say here top value is, and then we're going to use here nums.top. This function allows us to retrieve the top value of our stack. Okay, so we have it already. So the next thing to do is that let's pop them. So when we say pop, it removes the elements in our array. So let's create here a for loop. So for I'm going to use here I. So I think I declared here I already. Yes. Okay, I there. For I is equals to nums dot size. This function here allows us to get the size of our array. I greater than 0, and then I plus so it will be a reverse value, I minus minus. Okay, then I'm going to have here, let's set x nums x equals to nums dot top. Okay, so it will go to the topmost value, and then we're going to display the value x. Okay, there, and then we're going to pop it. Okay, there. Then let's display the stack size again. So I think all you need to do is to copy this line here, and then that's it. So this is our code. So the objective of this program is to demonstrate the use of stack, or to implement stack, but we will be using here a library, and then this is how we implement the library. So include here the stack library. Then to initialize it, all you need to do is to use this one stack, and then the data type, and then the variable that will be holding it. In this case, it will be nums. So let's try to run our code. Let's check whether we have errors here. So it's compiling now. Let's wait for a while. Okay, there. Hopefully there are no errors. Oh, okay. So we have it already. So here the stack is 0. So this is this line wherein we have checked the size of our array. Since we don't have yet any values there, it returned as the value of 0. Then this tree here allows us to push the data. So this is inputting the data. Now when we call here for the size of our array, so we have here 11, 12, 13. The size now is 3, and then the topmost value in our array is 13. And then this one here allows us to pop the values, which is 13, 12, and then 11. And then once we reach this part, it also displays that the stack size is 0. Okay, so because we already use here the pop command. Okay, so here's an illustration, or here's the implementation of an array using the stack library. Okay, let's have another program to illustrate this. So earlier, if you notice, we have used here an integer type. So let's create another program. Okay, another window here. This time, I'm going to create now another stack program that implements a string. Okay, so stack using our library function or our library. So let's include here stack. Okay, now this time we're going to input now a string. Okay, input string. So we need to add here a library which is string. Okay, now next thing here is let's declare or initialize our variables. So I'm going to use here stack and then the data type. Now earlier, if you notice, if we go back to this example here, I've used here int since I have input here a integer type. Now I'm going to use here, since I'm going to type here string, are going to input our string, so we're going to use here string, and then the variable, let's say we will have it name. Okay, there. So the next thing here is that we need to, so I'm going to declare here int string n. Next is I'm going to have here a character question. Okay, now let's display the value. So the objective here is to ask the user to enter data. Okay, data, and then we're going to have here yes or no. Okay, there, I'm going to ask, want to input the data, yes or no. Then next is we're going to ask the user to input the answer. Okay, now then let's create here a loop. Okay, as long as the user enters yes, it will continue to ask for the name. Otherwise, if the user enters no, we will stop and then display the values entered. So here, while quest is exactly equal to yes, or quest is exactly equal to small y. Okay, so this is our loop. Then we'll be asking the user to enter a name. Okay. Next is we're going to input n. So this is the variable that we use to enter the name. And then once the user enters a name, we're going to push in. Take note, when we use that, we would like to input data into our stack, we will use here the function push. Okay, so here we're going to have here name dot push, and then we're going to push here the input n here, which is our string. Okay, and then let's ask the user again, enter again. Okay, yes or no, there, and then quest, there. So as long as the user enters yes, it goes into a loop and then continuously enter any string or name, and then we push it into our stack by this using this line here. Okay, next is let's check the size of our stack. So to do that, cout size of stack is, okay, and then let's display here the name that size there. Okay, and line. Next is let's try to remove the data. To remove the data into our stack, we will use here the command called pop, right? So let's create now a loop here while not name dot empty. Okay, then let's display the value, the topmost element, and then let's pop it. Name dot pop. There. Okay. After that, let's check the size of our array again, and then let's stop our program. Okay. Should have entered this earlier. Okay. So here's our code. So the code here uses again the stack library, and then I have included here also the string library so that we could input here a string. So this is our stack implementation. Take note that this one here signifies the data type of our string of our stack, and then name here is our variable. So the program would ask you a question, enter data. If the user is press yes, it goes into a loop and be able to display the data here. Once we have inputted the data, this line here shows us the current size of our stack, and then this line here allows us to remove it, and then this one here allows us to display the size after we have popped or removed the item. Okay, so let's run our code. Let's test. Okay, it's now compiling. Wait for a while. Okay, hopefully there are no errors. Let's wait. Okay, there. So this is our line. It's asking us to enter data, so we press yes, enter. After that, we are now inside the loop, so enter name. So this one here. Okay, so let's type here Haji, enter. So once we have entered Haji, we already push in the value of Haji into our stack, okay, which is name here. Okay, do you want to enter again? Yes. So let's have here Joanne. Yes. Have here Haven. Yes. Have Johan. Yes. Okay, so this is the line. Okay, so once I press no, it should go to display this line here. Okay, press no, enter. Okay, so the stack size is 4. This is the line, and then after that, this line here, this one here, allows us to display first the topmost value. In this case, we have Johan, Haven, Joan, and then Haji. And then we pop up the value. We pop it to remove the values that we entered into our stack. And then once we reach this line, it automatically signifies that there are no values anymore into our stack. Okay, so here's an implementation of stack using the library stack, which is available in C++. So in our next video, I'm going to share to you how we use stack creating our own user-defined function. So I hope you like the video. Thank you for watching. Bye.